Oh well, you're absolutely doing that because the passion is clear. I mean, it's refreshing, honestly, to hear your passion about it. It's not simply just not a whiskey. It's representing something greater. So I suppose how the bottle design, where did that come from? Because it's beautiful. So what was the idea behind it? How long did it take and whatnot?
Well, there's a bit of a long story, but cutting a long story short is you're kind of going back to post leaving cert
Yes.
decision colleges to go to. I was offered a place in Dunleary School of Art and Design for model making, set design for the movie industry, and I was offered UL Business Studies. So I went for UL Business Studies, and I could say that I've been an artist inside that wanting to
Break
express
out.
their.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And for me, this whole thing was it's designed by myself. I had a bit of help from a graphic designer to be able to pull it all together and to execute the vision. But the very first bottle was completely 100% on myself, like every little detail. But last year, just to step up the brand, to bring it to the to the next level.
Yeah. That's amazing.
It's you got to do it because when you're a small company, you have your vision, and you
Yeah.
could go and talk to a brand agency, but they'll come back with what they want and what they think is your brand. But that for me wasn't the right way. Like
Yeah.
I scoured. If you go into the pubs of Limerick and you see there in the likes of a JJ Bowles or Mother Max, Flannery's, all of the pubs around Limerick, you'll see Limerick whiskey, Thomond Gate Distillery, Thomond Gate Whiskey. These brand Archibald Walker. That was the brand that was there. It had many names over the time, but ultimately there was these relics that was left over, and little things like I'm not too sure if you can make this out, but these
Yeah.
are actually
Yeah. Yeah.
coins.
Perfect.
These coins here are over 200 years old, and this was from the distillery being used for the sale of spent grain. So when
Wow.
back in the day, Limerick and Limerick's nickname Pigtown, that was all because of the butcher industry in Limerick. But because there was such demand for pork locally and for it to be slaughtered, every household kept pigs in the back of the garden. And you have to do to keep a good pig is to feed it. And the best feed that was in Limerick at the time was from the distilleries and the breweries. So you'd go to your distillery, you pay the man or the lady behind the reception, and they'd give you a coin, and you tell them, go up there and get your spent grain. And they take that coin and they exchange it for the spent grain, and they feed it to the pigs. So like for me, little things like these coins, I replicated and I got them made so that
Yeah. Yeah. That's
each
amazing. Yeah.
each of them are laser engraved with the individual bottle number. And for me, this was a storytelling piece. It was telling the story about the history of Limerick. And the one thing which I find fascinating, and maybe we could attribute it to it, is the downfall of Limerick ham. It ties somewhat in with the closure of the distilleries in Ireland and in Limerick, because Limerick ham was so well world renowned that Queen Victoria at the time insisted on having Limerick ham, and so did the royal courts of Romania and the royal families of Europe. And it's a lot of the tradition around Europe of having ham during Christmas comes because of the Limerick Guild of Butchers that had sent a ham to Queen Victoria back in the day. And being such a influential person at the time, it helped permeate that across. And this is the history that we have. And there's no point in making anything up because the history is far more
Absolutely.
interesting.
Yeah, no, it is.
Um,
I'm taken back by your part-time historian as well. It's incredible. Like, yeah, I just even the backstory to it is absolutely amazing. If that doesn't attract someone to try it or just feel a part of Limerick in trying
yeah,
the whiskey, then
yeah,
yeah, I don't know what will. But it's absolutely that's amazing. Are you're from Ballyclock yourself, are you? I believe.
yeah,
So that's
yeah.
there you go. The passion from someone who's from Limerick, understands the history of Limerick and what it means. It's not just a whiskey, it's a whiskey with history representing the county.
That's it. And like the barley and growing that in the land, like where I grew up is very the cusp of the city and the beginning of the countryside. My wife would always say that I'm more city than country, but I always felt I was part of the country, but also part of the city at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's a great thing to be that part of So this is not just the city; it's the county, and it's for me, it's working with the farmers locally, getting supporting them, and for them, it's a great opportunity as well because they're getting an opportunity to grow a crop that potentially they wouldn't have had before, with it also a better. So the whole thing is, I think it's a great knock-on effect for a lot of things. And I guess for me, it's just thank everybody for the support, and hopefully it continues, really. And I was blown away week just of last, really, when we launched the whiskey, the Miguel Hogan one, and it sold out like within, I think it was like 3 hours.
Wow.
Like there was just a huge turnout for the support.
Well deserved. Well deserved.
Oh, it's fantastic to have that. Like, but I think it just shows the passion that's there, that shared passion that people have in Limerick, for and that's something that I'm really excited about for the future, because with that type of support, we're only restricted by how much support we can get and drive this on. So.
But I think the reason for the feedback being so positive and the way it's selling out so fast, why people love it so much, it's not only the fact that, of course, it's a business. At the end of the day, it is a business, but it's more of it's your project. Like you said there, since, like when you were 17, even designing like this has been your baby, shall we say, from the beginning. So this is what, like, you're passionate about it. And I think that's people relate to that. And I just think that that's the reason it'll take off and you'll do so well. And you've done so well already. I just think I think it's amazing, to be honest. I suppose I won't keep you too much longer. I know you're busy. Just quick more questions. How do you get the whiskey? Is it all online at the moment, or when's it hitting shelves, or?
Yeah, so what I do is, it's the fairest way to do it is that if you register for our bottles, you go to our website and go to thomondgatewhiskey.com. You'll be able to see there, there's a registration link, and or if you go to our Instagram, it's a great way to kind of to follow us is on the Instagram, because I am a big storyteller of what's going on, casks coming in. So you go there.
I've followed all your pages and all the history basically on each page, and I just keep liking it and reading it. It's fascinating stuff. Like, it actually is. It's a history lesson. Like,
well, it's the streets can't tell the stories, but if we can tell the stories through these modern mechanisms, I think that's the fun thing that we can do.
Absolutely.
But to get a bottle, very much register on the website. There is a thing that if you are part of our cask program, from the whiskey that we've made in Limerick, from the barley that we grew in Limerick, that entitles you also to advanced notice for the releases as well. So that's one kind of way that if those who are wanting to have a cask of the whiskey for themselves, that they're able to do. And there's a little perk that you also get a key to the gate. So
brilliant. That's brilliant.
It's a little, I think you can probably see that on the Instagram in a bit more detail, but it's very elaborate, as your individual cask number on it, fill date. And amazing. I guess really more than anything, it's something tangible that, God forbid, in the years to come, if somebody finds it in a drawer and they look at the back, if all goes according to plan, that they could take this to our venue and be able to pull out a book, which your name will be inside a leather-bound book made by Shepherds of London, like this very ornate book that I designed myself. It really, that is creating history. It's recording the history of the revival of Limerick whiskey and our place in the world. So I think that's the really exciting thing of, how this is all about that. And and if people are interested in that, they follow myself on Instagram, and I think that's the best way to keep them up to date with the new releases and how they can get it. Is I try to keep people up to date as possible, but the only downside is that there is a finite amount of bottles released at any point in time, because they're single casks, and it's not like the big brands that are out there, and Jameson have done a fantastic job in what they do, but they have a huge variety of whiskey that you can go into a shop and you can pick up a bottle of Jameson and enjoy it every time. Whereas ours, it's very much, this is a single cask and a single bottle, and that it's a bit like a passing moment in time, that you either you grasp it and you have it and you enjoy it, or it's gone forever, and you'll never ever get exactly the same whiskey ever twice. Be a slight difference. It might be similar, but it's a bit like if you ever cook yourself, your favorite meal, There might be a slight time it's a bit better, you know, it might be a little bit different.
Worse. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it just makes it more unique. It's just, it adds to the value of the product. I mean, it's just, it's like you said, it's a moment in time. It's just, yeah, it's incredible. How would you describe the whiskey quickly? What would you describe it as?
It's like probably trying to describe all your children in the family. I think it's a bit hard to kind of generalize, but
yeah.
Passionate of full-bodied whiskeys that have well integrated with the alcohol. So, you know, a lot of my spirits are cask strength. There's only one that's 49%, but there's a lovely oiliness and mouthfilling and richness to them, and that really comes from the texture of the oils in the spirit, and that really just makes it that easier to enjoy a cask strength spirit. They're not shy in their flavors. Their flavors are quite expressive. And, you know, with regards to the Imperial Stout, we had these lovely coffee kind of aromas and molasses kind of characters coming through. For the Ruby Port, you know, there's dark fruits, the lovely vanilla sitting underneath that. For the Cognac cask, we had this kind of lovely, how would I say, the more violet, the kind of grape characteristic coming from the Uni Blanc grapes. But also it's French oak, so you're getting some lovely tannins and characteristics coming from that. So, you know, it's like a bit trying to describe all your children, but you know, I would say that they're not shy. They come over and say hello to you, and they're welcoming and warming, and that's probably the best way to describe them, as that really. So
yeah. I look forward to get my hands on one. I'm going to be probably jam logging your website, just constantly registering for the next bottle. Just to move on quickly, you sell other products as well, other merchandise. I believe you have t-shirts and hoodies for sale as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, you know, there's been a good support from those who are passionate about the brand. We have people who've, as far as Singapore to America to Norway, that have bought merchandise as well as bottles and flying the flag in those parts of the world. And you know, there was a guy over in Washington sending me a picture of the t-shirt, and you know, it's just it's amazing. And we're seeing your bottle next to, you know, the Statue of Liberty, and you're kind of like, wow, you know, I know all the steps that went through to get there, and it's amazing that these little things go out into the world and they could get lost. You know, they could be forgotten about in maybe somebody's shelf. And who's to say, in 100 years' time, somebody's going to open it and enjoy it. And I think that's really exciting because, you know, spirits themselves are you know, eternal, really. They don't go bad. You know, as long as they're sealed anyway, they won't go bad. And particularly at that strength, they won't go bad because they're a high level of alcohol in it. So, but the one thing I would say to people is, because of the way I select the alcohol, the spirit, it's a very good quality spirit, because majority of the reason why the whiskey that we consume are, you know, 40%, 46% is not particularly to do with how good the flavors are, but particularly because of the price point that they need to retail it at, and actually the legal definition of what whiskey is. And in my opinion, there's enough whiskey out there to meet that demand. For me, I like to show whiskey as it is, unaltered, unchanged. And I guess really, you know, showing, you know, what you know, what's unique about them. Oh yeah, it's great. It's great. So absolutely. So if people want a t-shirt or anything like that, they can go online onto the website there and purchase one there as well. So it's great to see the support on that side as well, because it's just
absolutely well deserved. And I'd recommend looking at the hoodies and t-shirts. They're quite nice as well. And it's just, as you said, it's history again, and it just all adds to the, I suppose, the USP of the product. It's just it's fascinating stuff. So just quickly moving forward, like, what are your plans in the next year, the year after, the coming years, I suppose?
Yeah, I think, you know, we have to lay down more stock, is a big thing. So this year it's not just one field, it's fields of barley. So it's a big jump this year versus the years before. You know, there's some amazing casks. I've got casks from Denmark, from America, from Brooklyn in America, to from France that have come in. Some really interesting cask finishes and collaborations with breweries around the country. So I guess for me, I'm just trying to do some really unique things that are going to come out, and you know, things like I said, passing moments. So, you know, either people are going to have them, enjoy them, or you know, they won't be there forever. But you know, the bonded warehouse, we're going ahead with that. to mature the stock, have a brand home there, and welcome people there if they do choose to come in the future. But you know, really, the whole mission has been putting Limerick back on the map, and it's doing that in a step-by-step way.
Absolutely.
You know, and I guess it's not, you know, I'm not a brand that's going out there and you know seeking to raise a load of money to build a massive location. You know, this is very much an organic process, and looking at doing things correctly. There's a lot of interest at the moment in doing things very, very big, and I don't think that's particularly the right approach, because want to focus on your liquid. It's I always like to use the analogy. It's like you know, if you want to be have a Michelin star restaurant, you don't start off by having your restaurant. You start off by small and you work your way up. And that's kind of the way that I'm approaching it, is that I'm working towards a bigger vision here in Limerick, and I'm sure, you know, that will be revealed in more detail as time progresses. But it's trying to do it correctly, trying to do it in the best way possible, not taking any corners, you know, making sure that, you know, the liquid is right, that the authenticity is there, and you know, just, you know, I guess really is building a community around of like-minded people that are passionate about this. Really is what my focus is.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. It's I like, you'll get to the end goal. When you get to the end goal, it's more the journey and putting your soul and yourself into it, embodying what you think Limerick is and what a whiskey should be, and not mass producing, just producing enough so that it's unique, people enjoy it, and it tells a story. So yeah, it's an absolutely fascinating conversation, to be honest, and really appreciate your time, Nick. I wish you the best in your ventures. Not that you need it, because you're doing really, really well. But anyone interested in Thomond Gate Limerick whiskey, please have a look on the website. It's fascinating stuff. And honestly, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely, my pleasure, and glad to share my story, and welcoming people to join me on my journey, and you know, share and raise a glass together. Hopefully, when we can all, you know, enjoy together. Not too far away from that now at the moment, so I'm sure we'll all be able to do it very soon. So thanks a million for your time, man, and really.
Please God, we'll raise a glass soon. Yeah, I can't wait anyway to try some of this whiskey. But until then, I hopefully see you again. We'll have you on again sometime soon. So honestly, God, pleasure was mine, and wish you all the best, Nick. Thank you very much.
No, thanks a million. Keep safe.
Take care of yourself.